Hello guys and welcome back to another video. Today we are making the October setup in my mom's bullet journal, and before we start I have to show you what I'm actually going to use for this theme because I didn't have a clue, but thankfully the Washi Tape shop was here to save the day. They recently launched some new tapes for Halloween and also for autumn, so they kindly sent me a few of them to try out and also show you, so let's do that. I'm reaching out for my swatches journal. Here is where I put all of my tapes and stamps with the names of the products and the stores where I bought them. So let's start with the pre-cut Petals en Blanc white PET tape, and this one is the sparkling option. It's so beautiful and the sparkling is not very overwhelming. It's quite soft, which gives a subtle shine to your pages. This one has some daisies with intricate lace and subtle sparkles, and it's quite soft to the touch. It has this almost velvety texture, is very soft, which pairs really nicely with the design. If you prefer this design with no sparkles, even these soft ones, you can get the normal PET tape option. This next one is the pre-cut pumpkin spell white PET tape, and the description is perfect to describe the design, so I'm going to read it for you. Crisp air, warm scarves and shelves stacked with mysterious potions. This tape is filled with curious characters and spellbound scenery. Featuring and illustrated details of aged spellbooks, enchanted herbs, and quiet magical rituals, it's a celebration of cozy intellect and seasonal charm. This tape is very cute, it has these adorable illustrations, and you know that it's not my style, but I can appreciate it nonetheless. Also, I really like that it also has male characters and not just female. You get each design 5 times because the loop is 1 meter long and the tape is 5 meters in length in total, so that's quite a lot. If you want to use this tape as a theme for a bullet journal, you have more than enough to decorate all the pages. This one is the pre-cut Ghostly Goodies white PET tape, and it features friendly little ghosts, charming Halloween accents, and a full set of themed alphabet and numbers. I love these illustrations. They are a mix of cutesy, but still quite realistic. I don't know how to describe it, but if you didn't know, I love baking. Cookies, cakes, desserts. And my grandmother actually taught me some recipes because she used to do cakes for birthdays and weddings, so these illustrations of ghosts, pumpkins and bats on cookies are so cute, I love them. And also the design loop and the length are the same as the previous one. I didn't mention, but every tape that I'm showing also has an option of washi tape, so you can get it in PET, so this plastic material, or in washi tape if you prefer that one. Okay, this next one is the pre-cut Haunted Night white PET tape, and it features charming haunted houses, glowing pumpkins, eerie bats, and full moons. And since they are a little smaller than the previous tape designs, they are also perfect to use in planners like the Obonichi for example, or smaller journals. But of course I'm going to use them in my mom's journal together with some of these other tapes, but I'll tell you later. I really like the illustrations on this one. They are really fun to look at, and the houses have really interesting shapes and components, so all these smaller details make a difference. If you also like little text or words to sprinkle throughout your spreads, this tape also has them, like Halloween, Witching It Up, Haunted Night, Trick or Treat, or also Boo. And the design loop and length are still the same. Moving on, we have the pre-cut Mystic Meow white PET tape, and as the name implies, it features curious and adorable black cats, some spiders for an extra spooky touch, and really beautiful florals with orange and purple colors. For the smaller details, we also have a few spider webs, so you can put them beneath the spiders, some bats, and also mushrooms, crystals, and pumpkins, so you get a little bit of everything. This one touches a little bit of my heart because, one, I love cats. If you saw any of my previous videos, you know that I have two. And I actually am looking after a black cat together with my co-workers that is around my workplace. I give him water and food, and it comes around, so it's quite fun having him roaming around the area. I don't love the spiders, but they give this tape a spooky touch, as I said before, and I love the cat illustrations with the different positions. So next we have the pre-cut Autumn Hues white PET tape, which is more autumnal. It combines cheerful sunflowers, rustic pumpkins, heartfelt seasonal quotes, and also some fun frames, all in this beautiful color palette. From the autumnal tapes, this one is my favorite for sure. I just love the colors, and you guys know that this is my favorite season, so it all comes together to please me. This one has a mix of small and big designs, so you can mix and match and overlay each illustration if you want to create a bigger one. This was also the base for the theme that I'm going to do, which I'm so excited to show you. And once again, the design loop and length are the same. And the last tape that I'm going to show you is one that is not available yet, but it comes soon on September 23rd, so keep an eye out for it. This one is called Harvested Bloom, and it's this beautiful floral PET tape that mixes red and orange tones in this amazing watercolor style. That's one of my favorite art styles. Unfortunately, I'm not really into watercolors, I just can't do it well, but I really love looking at illustrations that are made with it, so this one is perfect if you also love it. It has frames as well and some little words sprinkled in there. This is also a good candidate for a bullet journal theme, but I'm actually thinking of using it in my reading journal spreads. Who knows? If you are interested in getting these tapes or other ones for yourself, you can go to the Washi Tape shop website and use my code Juliana10 on checkout to get 10% off your order. I'll leave the affiliate link if you want to help me as well, since I get a small commission with no extra cost for you, and also I'll leave the tapes link down below so you can check it out for yourself. So now for the theme, I'm going to use the Ghostly Goodies, the Haunted Night, the Mystic Meow, and also the Autumn Hues. And I'm going to show you that you don't have to choose between a spooky theme or an autumn theme. You can do both at the same time. So let's start. To put together this whole setup and mix the 4 tapes into an aesthetic pleasing theme, I had to make a common ground for the tapes to sit on and not just be floating stickers here and there. So the solution to this problem was using ephemera that would be beautiful with the more autumnal tapes and also with the more Halloween-y tapes. So as usual, I went through my stationery and I found this little box with various papers in different sizes and designs, and they were mostly neutral but darker tones of beiges, greens and browns, and for some reason I don't reach for these papers that often, so I decided to use them in here. But I also wanted to add some color without the PET tapes, so I used 3 solid washi tapes to complement all the colors. A black reed washi tape, an orange solid washi tape, and a yellowish green solid washi tape, but a little more thinner than the others. Basically, the three washi tapes are going to pull some of the colors on the PET tapes. For example, the black can be seen on the bats, on the cats, or in some darker details. The orange is from the big sunflowers and some of the pumpkins. And then the yellowish tape is going to brighten all this color palette to make sure it doesn't stay too dark. For the title, I thought of doing boba letters, and I actually drew them, but after I did the collage, I think it came more elegant than I thought, because in my mind I was seeing these more playful and adorable collage, but my instinct kinda led to this more elegant collage. Maybe that's not the right word, but in the end I thought a more flowy lettering style was the right call to do, and I really like this one. To do it, I used an orange marker with a brush nib, and then I did a subtle drop shadow in this olive green. It's really soft, from afar you can even see it, but I wanted the green to stay present even the tiniest bit, because the three main colors are represented in here, with the black being the outline. Now on the left page, this one is for a quote, but I didn't really have a quote that was fitting for the theme, and I couldn't find one in Portuguese that I liked, so I went with a word from one of the tapes that was boo. Also, if you are new here, I make my mom's bullet journal in Portuguese because first, we are Portuguese, and second, my mom doesn't know English very well, and since she is the one using this journal, it makes sense to be in a language that she understands. But don't worry, I'll explain all the words as I go. Of course, the first word is October, and in Portuguese is outubro. So now moving on, we have the calendar spread, and I decided that instead of doing a basic calendar shape as I usually do, I wanted the calendar to be a little more fun and impactful, so I used these little stencils that have many shapes on it, and I used the bigger square to do each individual day of the calendar. It was a little bit time consuming, but it was quick in a way. I know that doesn't make any sense, but I was just making sure it was aligned with the dots, and then it was just drawing the shape with a fine liner. The second part of this calendar was coloring in the squares, and I was torn between using gray or not. I used muted tones of the orange and the green, and I wasn't sure if it would look good with a gray to kinda represent the black, so I decided against it, and I actually really like how it turned out with just the two colors. After all the coloring, I just had to write all the days, and then it's time for the decoration. I did the exact same thing as the previous spread. I just ripped some of the papers and I layered them on both sides of the calendar, put the washi tapes on top, and then I just had fun putting the different illustrations all around. My main thought and method was using the autumn hues tape to be kind of the base, and then using the other spooky tapes to complete the look. I think the colored calendar is really doing something. I love the look of it, and I think it worked very well to complement the decoration, but also bring some attention to the center part of the spread, since sometimes with all the decorations on the sides, the calendar or the whatever functional part of the spread you are working on gets a little bit lost, and this way your eye moves around to different parts of the spread. Okay, next we have the weeklies, and I decided to do an horizontal Dutch door. So instead of cutting a little bit of the page in width like you would do to a regular Dutch door, I cut the page in length. And that's because I'm going to use the top part for the functional section, and then the bottom part that's going to be the same for all the weeklies, it's going to be for decoration. This is actually very simple to do. You just have to be very careful to not cut into the binding of the journal, otherwise you can have structural problems in the future. So to avoid that, I just left this little margin next to the binding and I put some transparent tape on top, so then with the decoration above it, it's not that noticeable and the structural problems were avoided. While I was cutting the Dutch doors, I also decided to do tabs on the side, so I just made small markings with a pencil to cut on the right place, and then I cut the corners to make them more cute. For the weeklies, I kept them very simple. I just made rectangles for all of the days, and in the first and last week of October, I used bigger rectangles for the first 3 days and smaller ones for the rest of the week. And that's because those weeks have only 5 days, and I decided to divide the space into 5. For the other weeks, I just made 8 rectangles all the same size to put the 7 days and a notes section. And since I really liked the look of the colored calendar, I carried on that to these weeklies and I just alternated the color. For example, I started the first week with the orange rectangle, so in the next week I start with the green rectangle, and so on and so forth. I did the rest of the weeks off camera because they are the same thing over and over, so now we have to put some washi tape on the tabs. And that's really simple. I just chose some washi tapes for each tab, and then I just got a small piece of each washi tape and put them on the tab. And then, if the tape was wide enough, I just folded so that the back part was covered, and if it wasn't wide enough, I just had to go on the back part and put another piece of tape. And then it's just cutting the excess off. I really like the colors that I chose for the tabs because they are within the color palette of this theme, and the grid ones really make a difference in there, I think. So now for the bottom part, we have to decorate, and it's the exact same thing as the other spreads. Honestly, this isn't very technical, it's pretty much go with the flow. And to finish the weeklies, I used my punch corner to make the corners round and give a more polished look to the Dutch doors. I really liked this layout for the weeklies. I don't use this one very often, and I actually think that the last time I did this one was in October 2023, if I'm not mistaken. But it turned out very cute and I love the tabs. So now moving on to the last spread of this setup. This is going to be the monthly expenses on the left and a brain dump on the right. I make this in every setup in my mom's journal because she uses this a lot and it's very helpful for her. The monthly expenses is very basic. I just make a table with 3 sections, and from left to right we have the item, so the actual thing my mom bought, or a monthly expense like water, internet, those kind of things. Then we have the price, and then we have the date, and that's sometimes important to keep up with the money that's leaving your account and to keep track of the monthly expenses. To incorporate the colors in here, I used the orange on the top part of the table and the olive green to color every other line, and it makes it easier to follow each line of the table. Then I just put some papers behind the title and I decorated the bottom part of the table with the tapes. I just tried to make sure that the stickers were balanced, so basically making sure that were equal parts of each color in the decoration parts, because I didn't want too much black, but I also didn't want too much orange, so I tried to balance those out with the green accents. Of course, that's not always possible, like for example the bottom part of this table, and it just turns out in a different way, but I try to keep that in mind and I thought it was a useful advice. So on the right page I did the major decoration on the top and the title on the bottom, so basically the inverse of the monthly expenses, and even though I called this one brain dump, I used the word thoughts for the title, which in Portuguese is a more beautiful word, that is pensamentos, instead of cérebro, that means brain. Then, as I was decorating around the page, I began to make kind of a frame with longer flowers on each tape, and it just worked out that way. I wasn't thinking of doing a frame, but it ended up like that, and I kinda like it. And now it's time for the final flip through. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give a like, subscribe and comment down below a sunflower emoji to let me know you watched it till the end. I really loved decorating and making a theme from these tapes. They were just beautiful, so once again make sure to use my code Juliana10 if you want to buy some of these tapes for yourself in the Washi Tape shop website. I really hope that I gave you some inspiration for your October themes, not just spooky vibes but also autumn vibes if Halloween isn't really your thing. But I love this time of the year, so it's my favorite. I hope you have a lovely day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you on the next one that is very exciting, at least for me. Bye!